For a topic, I would like to use questions of the soul. How are you expecting God? People often reference the Bible as being authoritative and having the answers to life's problems. However, it seems that many who embrace this book often have more questions than they have answers. One evening, my younger brother texts me and he asks, "How do you know that you're on the right path? How do you know when God is speaking to you?" I feel like all I'm hearing is what I want to hear. These are the questions of the soul that I ask time and time again, and the answers many receive are many and varied. As Christian leaders, we often ask and are asked, where is God? In the midst of suffering, where is God? In the midst of sickness, where is God? In the midst of death, where is God? Why am I all alone? Why am I struggling? Why is my existence being threatened? These are just a few of the many questions of the soul that we ask God, ourselves, and others. These are questions that exist in our innermost beings that we think through, that we ponder, and that we reflect upon day after day. These are the questions that ministers may find hard to adequately answer. The lead character in our passage, Elijah, found himself in a situation where his life was in jeopardy. He was all alone and he wondered, where is God? Instead of merely pondering on that question, he began to seek the Lord. Elijah went to the Mount of God, Horeb, and it is there that he seemingly finds God. First Kings is considered to be a historical book and is cited as being a theological interpretation of the monarchy of the kings of Israel and Judah. It was written during the pre-exilic era. First and Second Kings is a prophetic interpretation of almost 400 years of Israel's history. The passage that we find ourselves in today falls under the second of three main sections, the divided monarchy. Elijah was first mentioned in 1 Kings 17 during a time when Israel had been captivated by evil and consumed in what many consider sin. Elijah finds himself at the Mount of Horeb after fleeing from the threat of Jezebel in the beginning of the 19th chapter. And upon arriving, God asks the question, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Avoiding the question, Elijah begins to explain that he is the only one of the prophets left, that the others have been killed by the sword, and that his life is on the line. I can imagine the frustration Elijah must have been feeling. He may have had feelings of depression, suicidal thoughts running through his mind, wanting to throw in the towel and denounce the call of being a prophet. Concerned that Jezebel would succeed in taking his life, worried about what would become of him, frantic and in despair. The bottoms of his feet are now sore from running across rugged terrain for 40 days and 40 nights, his body aching with pain, hungered as the last meal he had eaten was a cake prepared while under the juniper tree. And on top of all of that, he was all alone. As the text continues, God does not address Elijah's concern of being the only prophet left, but rather proceeds to instruct Elijah to stand on the mount and wait for the Lord to pass by. As Elijah stood there waiting, here was a strong wind that passed by, strong enough to split the mountains and break rocks into pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not there. And following the strong winds, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not there. And subsequent to the earthquake, there was a fire, but God was not there either. I believe that there are some in this room who can identify with Elijah seeking the Lord, only the Lord is nowhere to be found. We go to classrooms day after day, and God is not there. We may find ourselves in the midst of conversation with fellow friends or church members who are pastors, ministers, reverends, self-proclaimed theologians, and God is not there. We may find ourselves in church Sunday after Sunday, week after week, and God is not there. And we too feel the frustration Elijah felt because we needed God, are seeking God, and God is not there. It's frustrating because God is not in the places we feel God should be, wondering and asking, where are you when I need you the most? This a question of the soul.